The state of Puebla begins just east of Mexico City. Two sacred mountains, Mount Popocatépetl and Mount Ixtaccíhuatl, watch over this land. In Nahuatl, the original Aztec language, Popocatépetl means smoking mountain. This active volcano frequently belches large plumes of smoke, keeping the surrounding populace on alert. The capital city, Puebla, spreads out across a vast river valley. Founded in 1531, the city is built around a central cathedral. Legend holds that angels stretched out divine strings to indicate the placement of city streets. Many colonial buildings in the city center are adorned with ceramic tile in distinctive Mexican designs. Artisans from Puebla are known throughout the world for these tile designs. At the Talavera Armando Ceramic Factory, a potter uses local mud to create a vase. The abundance of this mud in the Puebla area has enabled pottery to flourish here. It was Spanish monks that began the tradition of pottery in Puebla. Painters put the finishing touches on ceramic platters. Talavera ceramics and their intricate designs are now tightly regulated. Artisans are required to recertify every 6 months. Mexican artistry has elevated these ceramics to become an art form appreciated worldwide. The country of Mexico has an abundance of natural resources. The mine of Naica, located 2 hours south of Chihuahua, contains some of the world's largest deposits of silver, zinc, and lead. In addition to these commercial minerals, they also grow crystals, the largest in the world. Crystal growth requires mineral water and heat, 150 degrees. Surprisingly, this barren mountain is filled with mineral water. In order to work underground, they must pump it out. 18,000 gallons of water every minute. And it's hot, 130 degrees. Electricity to run the large pumps costs the mine $500,000 a month, $6 million a year. Minerals in the water make it impossible to drink, but using it for agriculture has turned the valley green. The temperature in the cave of the giant crystals is 115 degrees. To avoid heat exhaustion, visitors are allowed to be in the cave for no more than 10 minutes. A diesel truck carries visitors to the outer chamber, 1,000 feet below the Earth's surface. The crystals here are the largest in the world, some 50 feet long and 4 feet wide. When the lead and silver are depleted, mine officials will no longer pay for the water pumping, and this cave will again fill with water. The crystals will begin to grow again, but visiting them will no longer be possible. The mineral wealth of this region continues to contribute to the prosperity of Mexico. The Day of the Dead is celebrated throughout Mexico. Some of the most elaborate celebrations take place in Pátzcuaro. Every year, people from Mexico and the world journey to this region to witness an amazing religious festival. The ancient church in nearby Quanajo has presided over 4 centuries of Day of the Dead celebrations. Townsfolk adorn the main altar with fruits and other foods as an offering to the dead, inviting their return. Bright orange marigolds, known as the Day of the Dead flower, complete the decorations. In Quanajo, to honor the spirits on this night, families share offerings hung on small wooden horses. The Custodio family ties flowers and fruit onto this horse frame. They will honor a young girl that died in their neighborhood this past year. The entire family sweeps up the little horse to carry it through the streets. That evening, in the home of the deceased girl, the living room is filled with wooden horse offerings, celebrating the life of this young girl and inviting her spirit to ride home for a visit. The church bells toll to summon the spirits to return and bring comfort to their families. Lake Pátzcuaro is the setting for another Day of the Dead tradition. At night, fishermen with large butterfly nets search for souls that might be returning to visit their loved ones. All of these customs are part of the special celebrations taking place throughout the Pátzcuaro region and throughout Mexico during this traditional celebration. Modern-day Mexico City is built on the ruins of several earlier civilizations. The Zócalo has been a central governing point for more than 1,000 years. On the back side, behind the National Cathedral, is the site of the Aztec Templo Mayor. Today, school children visit this site, discovered by accident in 1978 as workers dug a subway. Decades of excavation followed. New discoveries are being unearthed just behind the National Cathedral. Workers, sweeping some pre-Hispanic steps, uncover the corner of a massive stone sculpture. This 2006 excavation reveals a new monolith broken in 4 pieces. Originally, it was a single stone, 13 feet square, the largest Aztec sculpture ever to come to light. The stone relief depicts a female god named Tlatelolcutl that dwells in the underworld. This startling image may appear to frighten viewers, but don't be alarmed. In the Mexica world, this figure is full of hope. This god with her serrated tongue welcomes the dead, ready to devour all of their evil and render them clean again. The Aztecs had a very different concept of life and death. This ancient relief speaks of both death and rebirth to a new life. New features of this sculpture include skulls and details on the elbows and the knees. Every Aztec sculpture brings us new insights into the amazing world of the Aztec people. In August 2007, archaeologists searching beneath this monolith found what appears to be the entrance to a tomb. It may be the final resting place for an Aztec king that died in 1502 AD. The state of Chiapas is located in southern Mexico. Among the towns scattered throughout these hills lives the largest indigenous population on the North American continent. While many areas of Mexico assimilated the customs and traditions of the Spanish, people in these isolated villages remained unaffected for centuries, since there was no mineral wealth to exploit here, just farming. The central market in Chamula is an historical gathering place for the surrounding communities. Food and clothing of all kinds are available, with an emphasis on the traditional. The Spanish did manage to build a church here, but services are held only on special occasions by a traveling priest. The community adorned the entrance with butterflies, less of a Christian symbol and more indicative of their peaceful community. Among the indigenous people, tortillas are shaped by hand and cooked over an open fire. Mothers work alongside their daughters in the kitchen, sharing recipes and cooking skills. Women still weave elaborate cloth on hand looms. Following the Mayan calendar, families participate in traditional festivals every 20 days. These celebrations generate impromptu parades throughout city streets. In outlying areas, religious ceremonies, a mix of Catholic and Mayan tradition, begin in the hills and move down into the community. Musicians are employed to accompany the festivities and bring in a crowd. Isolated for centuries, these communities in Chiapas today face constant pressure to adapt to a modern world. The upcoming struggle will be between those anxious to hold on to the 14th century tradition and a younger generation ready to embrace the future. Mexico shares a 1,900-mile border with the United States. Much of this area is desolate and foreboding. Other sections cut through cities. Tijuana, Mexico spreads out along this dividing line. The border is delineated with fencing or walls. Cameras and border agents encourage people to utilize official ports of entry. The crossing at San Isidro processes 50,000 cars a day as people and goods move north and south. Tijuana has become an important industrial center. Multinational corporations build factories to take advantage of a large labor pool that has gravitated here from all over Mexico. Even with jobs available here, the promise of greater opportunities in the north motivates many to undertake a dangerous, illegal crossing. Some walk for days across steep terrain. Others risk capture by vaulting fences and evading cameras and the border patrol. Tragically, hundreds die each year attempting the hazardous trip. The struggle has been graphically depicted on a border fence in Tijuana. These crosses are inscribed with the names of men, women, and children that didn't make it. Unable to stop the flow north, the Mexican government has organized rescue teams to prevent more deaths. Grupo Beta patrols both in the city and along frontier fences, offering food and water to those caught in the struggle. They counsel migrants on the dangers of crossing: frostbite, exposure, dehydration, and snakes. Some choose to continue north. Economic disparity creates this situation. The daily wage for a factory worker in Tijuana, $7. A few miles north, the daily wage is more like $50. Both the U.S. and Mexican governments are working to find solutions to this problem. The capital of Mexico was built on the ruins of Tenochtitlan, the fabled floating city of the Aztecs. The central plaza, or Zocalo, was originally built in the center of a large lake. Canals served where streets run today. The Spanish drained the lake with an elaborate system of pumps and pipes, eventually sending the water east clear to the Gulf of Mexico. Over the next 4 centuries, Mexico has been forced to expand this pumping operation to keep the city dry. Vestiges of the Aztec waterway still exist in the southern end of Mexico City. The floating gardens of Xochimilco have been designated a World Heritage Site. Here, farmers still cultivate crops on floating islands and navigate narrow canals with flat-bottom boats. These land parcels are called chinapas. They are kept in place by a system of roots and trees planted along their borders. These are working farms. A mild climate allows farmers to grow all manner of flowers and vegetables. They have abundant yields from these fertile lands, allowing 3 to 5 plantings per year. Historians tell us that the Aztecs sustained a population of 1 million people in the Valley of Mexico from an extensive system of hydro-cultivation. In addition to farming, an area of Xochimilco is set aside for celebration. On weekends and holidays, families rent boats to enjoy the canals. Vendors bring food, flowers, and music onto the water. The festive sound of mariachi is everywhere. Mexicans celebrate life and their Aztec heritage on the canals of Xochimilco. The cuisine of Mexico is as varied and unique as the people. The Valley of Mexico was the original breadbasket of the Americas. The Aztecs shared many new vegetables with the world. Among them, corn, potatoes, tomatoes, and squash. On average, Mexicans spend 25% of their earnings on food, and tomatoes are served with every meal. Outdoor markets display an abundance of produce. In Sinicantan, an amazing assortment of seeds and grain are available to buy by the kilo. Oaxaca is famous for its mole sauces, some made with dark chocolate, another food introduced by the Aztecs. In the city of Pátzcuaro, people gravitate to fast food Mexican style. Large skillets are set up near the city center. Cooked chicken, onions, potatoes, and corn are piled around the edges. When an order is placed, chefs stir specific selections into the center for a final warming. The juices combine and provide a fusion of flavor. Customers eat at curbside tables. Taco meats are cooked on large spits turning in front of a broiler. Cooked outer layers of meat are shaved off and fill out tacos and burritos. Mexican cuisine is savored across the globe. Another contribution from this amazing culture.